أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة فكشف الله به الغمة، وتركنا على محجة بيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. فصلوات ربي وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وعلى كل من تبع هداه إلى يوم الدين، ثم أما بعد. You remember we started the series about the importance of al-kalima. And throughout this series, we discussed together different kalimas, good ones and bad ones, and the effect that those kalimas can have on us in this life and in the hereafter. We always sit together to talk about the Prophet alayhi wa ala alihi afdal salatu wassalam, about his companions. And since Ramadan is about to start, there is one important issue that I need to address today regarding the Prophet alayhi wa ala alihi salatu wassalam, and regarding reporting about him. Normally when there is a season like Ramadan, Al-Azhar, Al-Fitr, Isra and Al-Mi'raj, sometimes we hear a lot of ahadith that are not authentic, that are fabricated. And to be honest, in today's world, I find no excuse for someone who would report a hadith about the Prophet alayhi wa ala alihi salatu wassalam without checking its authenticity. The reason is, right now you can easily find something like this. With the internet, with the electronic books and the things like that. That's why when I talk with you all the time, I make sure that I mention the book that was narrated, the companion who narrated it. And this should be the way for everyone. You don't have to be a scholar to be able to do that. If you are, yes, of course, there is the famous hadith that you must have heard and seen everywhere, that Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As reports in Sahih al-Bukhari, that the Prophet Muhammad alayhi wa ala alihi salatu wassalam said, بلغوا عني ولو آية. بلغوا عني ولو آية. Report about me even one verse. Ulama say this hadith made it fard upon every Muslim to report something about the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. You have a verse from Quran, a hadith that he said, a dhikr, ولو آية. And the Prophet ﷺ continues the hadith talking about Banu Israel. وَلَا حَرَجَ فِي أَن تُحَدِّثُوا عَنْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. You can report the stories that were reported from the people of Israel. Yeah, from the time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And then, but the hadith ends, وَمَنْ كَذَبَ عَلَيَّ مُتَعَمِّدًا فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. Whoever lies up, upon me, whoever puts words on the Prophet's mouth, then they should await their seat in hellfire. فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. I'm saying this because There are lots of things that would circulate on WhatsApp and things like this, especially when it comes to those stories that will get people excited and this happened and this happened, and a lot of these are fabricated. And nowadays you will find that there is a tendency, there is like a group among the Muslims, a sect, who would say, oh, because of all this fabrication, and this is fabricated, and this is not correct, and this is not authentic, we are going only to stick with Quran, forgetting that Quran itself said, if you love Allah, then you have to follow Him and to follow His Rasul, His Prophet. All right. So, but why such a thing will come to the surface? Because we are not careful what we report about Him. We do not take it seriously like we take Quran. The Imam makes a mistake, someone corrects, right? We were not left only with Quran. In Hajjatul Wada, the Prophet ﷺ said, I have left within you what if you hold to, you will never go astray. What were the two things that he mentioned? Kitab Allahi wa sunnati. And in another narration, wa ikrati ahlu bayti. So the heritage, whether it's his family and the narration that he left behind, and Quran. So we should take the sunnah of the Prophet seriously, right? And when we receive something on WhatsApp or something like this, we don't just hurry up and circulate it. It won't take a few minutes of you writing the narration that you received, yeah, or its translation, and searching, oh, the authenticity of this. Or just writing it and it will tell you it was reported in this book by this companion and things like this. You cannot and you don't have time, you don't know how, then don't forward it. Don't do this. All these images about a carrot that has the name of Allah or an egg that got, this is nonsense. Nonsense. Why is that? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is too mighty for something like this. Imagine others. I mean, do we need a carrot that has the name of Allah to believe in Him? Is this the miracle that He sends in our world to show us His creation? We've become too small, looking for something. I remember a famous mufassir in Egypt. He was once asked by a TV presenter, he said to him, how can we modernize Islam? How can we beautify it? This is what people are trying to do. They're trying to beautify it, yeah? Look at this, and then someone photoshops an image of some clouds in the sky, and they say, look, it forms the word Allah and all these things. And then it's photoshopped, so anyone with basic scientific knowledge would put it on an app and would understand that it was. So people of knowledge would know that, all right? So when you base the foundation of this religion on a WhatsApp photo, yeah, or a post on Facebook, that can be proven wrong. What have you done? This is what happens when we tweet all those numbers about, look, how many numbers and how many numbers, and that proves that the day of the hereafter is in that year or this year, and it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Do you think that you can find in Quran what the Prophet and his companions didn't find? No, you can't. Do you think that you would have a better understanding than them? You can't. So you have to stop. All these, some sort of like tweaked mathematical scientific explanation have no place in our religion. When you attach something in Quran that was not very clear and you just tweak it to some theory to prove to the world that religion, that is the religion of Islam is the right one, and then later on this theory is proven wrong, what are you going to do? So we have to stop that. We have to check everything that goes by us, because we would have no excuse. And remember, yes, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. So I respect the eagerness that we have in our community to forward those nice things. but we have to put the brakes and think about it. All right? Because there are loads of things that circulate and they are not correct. All right? This is my alarm telling me that I have 5 minutes. Okay. So, telling you this, there is plenty of fascinating, authentic things in our religion. And alhamdulillah, we've been learning them over the weeks. And alhamdulillah, I make sure that every single hadith, every single word is doubly checked, authenticated. I go back to the sources. Alright? I'm no alim, I'm no scholar. But it is just, I know how serious this thing is. So, this is like the time for us to think about those things. And the forward button, just to give it some sort of like a holiday. Right?